Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome lifestyle agent at Compass, Cari Higgins. So, welcome, Cari.
Thanks. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about this.
So, I wanted to congratulate you on all your achievements. Can you share with us how your real estate career started from being a professional athlete?
Sure. I mean, it started really organically, and I had been a professional athlete for about 10 years. In that entire time, I was working alongside my husband in his real estate investment company. So we were doing construction on homes, repurposing homes, renovating homes, buying them ourselves, doing that work and reselling. So I was
Amazing.
learning a lot about the market, learning about adding value, learning how to evaluate different neighborhoods and what the upside and what the margins were. So it was real organic because I loved that kind of work. I loved the spreadsheets. I loved doing budgeting. And so as I was winding down my professional cycling career, it was natural for me to get my license. It was going to save our company a bunch of money for the work that I felt like I was already doing anyway. So at that
Yes.
point, friends started asking me to help them with investments and then start asking me to help prepare their home to look like our model homes when we sold. So it was real organic, and that's how it started.
That's amazing. So, how did being a professional athlete influence your approach to real estate and business? So, was there any like experiences or
Sure.
lessons from there that you could take into real estate and
Yeah,
business?
of course there is. And, I say this all the time. I would always hire a professional athlete or somebody even who was an athlete at the collegiate level because that person has learned from a young age how to
Yeah.
set goals, how to achieve goals, the steps that takes to get to that point. And rarely is that person ever a quitter. So I
Mm,
think in terms of an athlete all the time in my business, like, there is no success without failure. There's all these things that happen on a daily basis in the real estate world. It just parallels what happens in the sporting world. So I think that it really shaped me. I mean, I've been an athlete my whole life. And I think even in my previous medical sales career, I think that, that had the focus and the drive, the ambition, the competitiveness, all these words, they're so cliche, but gosh, they're so true for
yeah.
competitive athletes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, as the real estate industry is highly competitive, you bring an innovative, data-driven approach to build a real estate success. So, share more about this and how it makes you different within the industry.
Yeah. I think that, there's so many people who love to look at homes and we think about the aesthetics of homes all the time.
Yeah.
But because of what I just explained and like my background of like how I actually got to be really knowledgeable about the real estate industry and making my own investments,
Mm,
that was all data driven. That's not emotional. That's not about aesthetics. It's about what you can do to make the aesthetics work for you and what that budgeting is. But that was all data driven from the very, very beginning. So I find that there's certain kinds of people who buy very emotionally. And there's a
yes.
lot of people who, especially in this market, as prices have risen, interest rates are rising, or they are at their top and hopefully coming down. But, everybody wants to know numbers and data and they
Mm.
want to know, they're really digging into that a lot more. And I love it. I love a good spreadsheet. I mean, I sound like
Yeah,
a
and
big
that's
old
not
nerd right
everybody's
now.
cup of tea.
I know. I sound like a big nerd, but I mean, I can talk about colors and I can talk about aesthetics all day and a floor plan and how it works for a family or doesn't work for a family. But what I really love is digging into data as well.
So, has working alongside your general contractor husband, who is involved in construction or in the construction side of real estate, given you unique insight into cost structures? And if so,
Sure.
can you tell us more about this?
Yeah. Well, I think it's been really helpful. Take that back. I know it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because Boulder is a unique little town. We're 100,000 people in the city of Boulder, larger in the county of Boulder. We have
Mm,
people moving here from all the coasts, from California, from New York, from Miami, from Chicago, from Atlanta. And these cities are used to a complete home with
mm,
the aesthetics being perfect before they go on the market. And Boulder's unique. We have not gotten used to that yet in this community. So aesthetics of a home, finishes of a home haven't been the priority of most people who've lived here for 40 or 50 years. Like the
mm.
priority here is living outdoors and being athletic and the
Yes.
lifestyle of healthiness. And so when people move here from California or Chicago and they're expecting a certain level of home for the price that they're paying, it's a shocker. And
Yes.
so it's been really helpful to have a background in construction and have a Rolodex of subcontractors to be able to walk these buyers through, or
Mm.
sellers in a lot of cases, in prepping their home, but to walk them through and say, look, let's look at the bones of this home because I can tell you exactly what it's going to cost to redo all the flooring, to redo this master bathroom,
Mm.
to add new lighting. I mean, I can give you a budget and I've got the subcontractors who are on call, are waiting for this call. So just having the knowledge of construction, but also the Rolodex of subcontractors has been more than useful.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And also being able to just build those relationships from both sides is obviously a huge advantage.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about the 2002 project that earned you a spot on HGTV, the reality show, and how it affected your career?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one. That was the first house we owned in Boulder. We bought this great house, a mid-century modern house in the one of the top neighborhoods in Boulder, and it had green plush carpet, it had green cabinets, it had fern wallpaper. It was crazy. It was just a crazy 70s house, and we bought it in
Yeah.
2002. And so we did a full gut renovation, and it was the first time we had done that in Boulder. We had renovated a house in Atlanta before as a hobby.
Mm,
But this was the first time that my husband, then boyfriend, was doing this as a career. So we put all our money into this house, every penny that we owned into
mm,
making the house, bringing up to an aesthetic appeal, like a very appealing finishes for mid-century modern. Well, it got on a home tour. Then it got some local media attention, and then all of a sudden, next thing we know, we're on this HGTV show called "What You Get for Your Money." And what the show was comparing, like, at that time it was $1 million. What you get for $1 million in some town in Florida,
mm,
in Boulder, Colorado, and like St. Louis or something. And
mm,
it was comparing all three of those houses and what you get for $1 million. And it was super fun. And I would say more than anything, it just really propelled us in terms of what we were doing on the renovation side of that business.
mm.
It kind of got us a name in Boulder, and it was our first house. So it was lucky.
Wow.
But I would also tell you that behind the scenes, and not about the TV show, but just about doing hands-on renovation, what I learned then is really just like the foundation for what I
Mm.
know about how houses are built and what you can do with them.
Oh, that's amazing. So,
Yeah.
having earned your real estate license as the next step, as you mentioned earlier, has enabled you to work in all sectors of the market, including buyers, sellers, and investors. So, how do you manage the different approaches each market requires? And has this given you a competitive advantage?
I think the competitive advantage is understanding investment because when I
Yes.
approach buyers, even if they think they're going to live there for 20 years, I'm always talking about the investment. So
Yes.
I think that's a competitive advantage. I think in our market, most people work with buyers and sellers.
Mm.
I really enjoy working with all three: buyers, sellers, and investors. And
Yes.
it means to me that no conversation is the same, no
Mm.
day is the same. And when I go to sell a house, I've been working with buyers, for the last 4 days, and I know what they're looking for. I've heard
Yes.
what they're saying. I know the advantages and disadvantages of certain areas or certain floor plans or so on and so on. So I think the real competitive advantage, though, when it gets down to it, is that investment conversation. There's a
Mm.
lot of agents who have never done any real estate investing themselves and therefore can't really have that conversation in terms of margins or upside or cap rates or anything else. So that's the real advantage.
So, what would you say then some of your biggest career lessons have been? And I'm sure you've had multiple, but what really stands out for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, and I'm going to give you an answer you're not expecting. It's not about the selling of a home or a certain buyer or a certain interaction. I think my biggest career lesson that I hope that all real estate agents someday learn is that building a network in a community of real estate agents who support, collaborate, um, and just in general help you
Hmm.
really helps our profession. I know it's not the answer you were looking for,
No,
but
but that
I will
that
tell.
it's nice because it's not a typical traditional answer. So I think that's
Huh.
going to be very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, this can be a lonely industry and it's a really tough industry. And I love having friends, people who I can call friends who are also my competitors. And we
Yes,
can really build each other up. We can brainstorm, we can talk through situations, we can gauge the market. And it not only helps me, but it really helps my clients because I can't talk to every single buyer out there. I don't know the scoop on every single house that's on the market. But if I'm friends with all these agents, I can get that information and it's helpful for my clients as well. So
absolutely. So, how has understanding costs and knowing suppliers helped you to develop close relationships with your clients?
I'll tell you how. When I sell a house, 8 times out of 10, I'm back in their house in a month or two, bringing some of my suppliers to them. So
Oh,
bring my subcontractors to their house. So it's not about me closing a house and getting a paycheck at all. It's
mm,
about actually me helping them curate their own home. And that's
yes.
trust, that's a friendship, that's a long-lasting relationship. So I think that, that not only is something I enjoy doing, but it's actually just who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
prior to your real estate career, please tell us how you perfected your selling skills, selling medical equipment, and did sales come naturally to you? Because obviously, for some people, it's not a natural thing.
It's crazy because when I was done with university, I thought I was going to go to med school. That didn't happen the first year. So I got into medical sales and that ended up being such a great career. But the funny part about it is I said to myself, the last thing I want to do in life is be a salesperson. I just think
Yeah,
salespeople are weird. Like, I just think it's slimy. Like, I don't need to
yeah,
talk anyone into buying or spending
no,
money. Wasn't natural to me. That wasn't convenient in
yeah,
conversation. But what I learned is like, I'm not a salesperson and I'm
mm,
still not a salesperson. What I am is I really feel like even in the medical industry, I was more of a consultant. I would talk to the CFO about, the ROI in a certain piece of machinery. I would talk
mm,
to the doctors about their usage and what they needed. Like, what do you need in your practice? I would talk to the CEO and talk about the overall business model and how this piece of machinery could help their model or change their model. So
yes,
I'm talking to different people with different needs and putting together a solution. To me, that's not sales at
yeah,
all.
exactly. And it's also more relationship and I
Totally.
don't know, it's just about building those relationships and it's more about the experience.
Yeah. And right now it's the same thing. So it's like, whether it's buyers or sellers or investors, it's like, what is your need? What is your ultimate goal? And let's figure out a solution to get you there. And
Yes.
it could be like, hey, in order to get you to your goal, I think we need to clear out your house, paint and do new carpet and stage the house before you sell it. So I need you like, and it's in your budget, but you're going to have to move out for 2 months or whatever the case is, right?
Mm,
But
mm,
in order to meet your goals, your need, here's what we need to happen. That's going to help me present your home and market your home. That's
mm.
not me being salesy.
No.
That's coming up with a solution. And then when I work with buyers, it's the same thing. It's like, what's your goal?
Mm,
What is your vision? And let me help create a solution for that. So I don't think of it as sales. And maybe that's why I've been good at real estate. I'm going to say
absolutely.
being an advisor. I don't know.
Yeah. So what is it about the real estate industry in Boulder that drives your passion?
Yeah, I would say the excitement that people have for living here. It's rare, if ever, that I meet or work with somebody who just doesn't like it. So, like,
Yes.
I love the lifestyle of Boulder County. I just love Colorado.
Mm,
And when people are moving here from out of state and I get to like fuel that fire for them being excited, like that makes me excited. I have an example. I have someone moving here from Austin, Texas, and they close on their house at the end of this month. And like I'm already excited to bring her on this hike from Aspen to Crescent Butte and Crescent Butte back to Aspen. Like I can't wait to invite her.
wow.
Like it's
It sounds
and so
amazing.
that's not me being a real estate agent. That's not me
No,
selling you a home.
no.
That's me introducing you into your new lifestyle.
Yes.
And so I think that is what I love about it here. And it's, people who live here and maybe have to move away, they're mostly pretty sad for doing so. So it's like I can console with that. I can understand that. So every day
Yes.
is different. Every person is different, but basically, this is an amazing place to live, and people are excited to live here. So that's what I love
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
what have been some of your biggest career highlights? And again, you probably had multiple, but what really stands out for you?
Yeah, I think gosh, I've had some great moments. I think starting a team and having agents who I can mentor and teach and watch them grow. I think that's pretty exciting for me. That's probably one of like my favorite thing that's happened in the last couple years. I'm of course hitting a certain threshold in terms of volume of homes that I've sold. That's exciting because I'm competitive. Getting in the top 10 in Boulder County for 2023. That was amazing because I'm competitive. So that kind of fuels me, but it also really fuels me to like have this team and mentor and teach other agents. So that's been really awesome. I think those are my highlights. So maybe
Amazing.
highlights to summarize
Yeah,
is reaching a certain number and getting in the top 10 of Boulder County agents for 2023. Awesome. And then also just building this team.
amazing. So, the COVID pandemic had a massive impact to everyone in most industries. So, how did you manage to survive in this difficult time?
Wine? With lots of wine? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough for all of us. And, people look at real estate and they're like, oh, but you guys were making $1 zillion during COVID. And it was like, actually, the only thing we didn't have much choice but to put our nose down and just work hard. I think the reason why I survived is because I'm used to working hard and
Mm,
playing 4 years of college athletics or, being on the national team in 4 years leading up to an Olympics. Like, I'm used to just like putting on blinders, working
mm,
as hard as I can possibly work, and ignoring the rest of the world. Like, I am so
yes.
used to that. That's fine with me. And I think
Yes.
that's just what happened for 3 years. Like, I think that we just were given no choice. We just had to put on blinders
Mm,
and not complain about how much we were working or how much free time we didn't have and all the new rules and regulations. It's just like could ignore all that and just go on with my day and work hard. And I think some people are maybe not used to working that hard, or unfortunately had other distractions for them, like like
mm,
didn't have kids at home, so that was easy, or
yes.
easier, I should say. So, yeah, I think, that was crazy. I mean, can you
Mm,
believe you lived through a pandemic? Can you
I
even
know.
crazy? It's
Yeah.
bonkers to think about. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So, your professional cycling record as a 23-time US cycling elite champion and top
mhm.
international competitor is very impressive. So, can you tell us more about this and your involvement on the board of US Cycling?
Yeah. So, I started cycling, like, later in life. I picked it up as a sport, like, as an outlet for corporate stress, and so, found out I was pretty good, kinda went after it for a couple years, quit my job. And before you knew it, I was like I was on the Olympic long team. I actually didn't compete in the
Wow.
Olympics. I was the last one cut, but the failure is a good motivation for me to have more successes elsewhere. But
Yes.
yeah, so my career kind of took off and it was unexpected. It was at a time in life that I thought I was being a professional athlete was not even an option. But true to nature, I like giving back. And
Yes.
so, I like mentoring. I already told you it's one of my favorite things about what I'm doing now. So the part about giving back is just something that I like to do. And I got involved as an athlete rep to the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee.
Yeah.
So I was like represented all the cyclists to the USOPC. And from there, I was given a position on the board of directors for USA Cycling and then was nominated and elected to be the chairwoman for USA Cycling. So,
Wow.
I think sport is a passion of mine, and I really love the sport of cycling. And I think that this country, um, there's so much potential for athletes in the sport of cycling on an international level. And I just wanted to be that athlete advocate to higher voices that could make change or just look out for the needs of athletes. So that's how I became involved. Yeah, it was a crazy career, and I think maybe because I started later in life, I kind of had the perspective of maybe looking out for some of the younger athletes as I retired. Yeah. And so to advocate for them and have some leadership positions in order to do so has been a fun way to give back.
Amazing, amazing. So
Yeah.
that leads me to you have a unique skill set as a ruthless negotiator, and you use this to support your clients. So where did you master the art of negotiation? Because it is obviously a very it is a skill set, and some people
Yeah.
just are much better at it than others. So I'm just curious as to how you became so skilled at it.
Yeah. Um, I'm laughing because I'm like, growing up in the South as a woman, we're like naturally negotiators. I promise you, like Southern
Yes.
women are just like, we'll kill you with our smile. And we're like, we're working the system right in front of you.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I feel like definitely in my early 20s, I worked for a large corporation, GE Medical Systems, and in medical sales. And, there was a lot of training there, but I honestly believe that negotiation, it can be learned, but the greatest negotiators are born to do it. And
Yes.
I just think that I'm fortunate that I got to hone my skills in the
Mm.
corporate world with big dollar items like these. I was not selling pharmaceuticals at the doctor's counter. I was like selling multi-million pieces of equipment as a
Yes.
23-year-old. So I got to hone those skills, but I think that's a gift that I have, and I love it. I mean, partly because of the competitive nature that I also have. So, I sometimes when I'm negotiating, I actually have to back it down a minute. Like I have to say like this is not about ego. This is not about being this
Yes.
argument. Like I get so involved in negotiations and I love it so much that sometimes I have to back away and say, your client is telling you you're at the limit of what they want. Don't try to get like
Yes.
you can be done here. So anyway, I think it's a skill that people are born with. You can learn it, but the ones who are just like ruthless are the ones that were given the gift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're also passionate about philanthropy. So can you share more about that with the audience? I mean, I know
Yeah.
obviously you've been involved with the cycling, but
Mhm.
are there other projects or
Yeah, I mean,
entities?
I mean, the joke with my husband is like, what board meeting is this week? Because I just like I like giving back and then both financially and time wise. And then I just somehow get overly involved. But so I'm involved with a couple ones that I'm really passionate about. One is called Cyclists for Community, C4C here in Boulder County, Colorado. And it's advocating for safe cycling routes, for education for both cyclists and motorists. We work, at the governmental level and advocating, but we also work at the grassroots level.
Yes.
And that's really important to me. I mean, I think that as we've gotten to be a bigger town, a bigger county, there's more cars, there's less patience. But I feel like if we want to continue to have the lifestyle that we all love here, that
Mm,
somebody has to be advocating. And unfortunately, government officials have too much to worry about. So we
mm.
have this great nonprofit organization that does a ton of work at the state level, but definitely at the county level for safety of cyclists. So that's one, love it. And then my other one, I started 15 years ago. I started a bike ride to raise money to help those in need in Zambia. And I visited Zambia and delivered bicycles and,
Oh, amazing.
ribbon on a new well. And so we've grown as a nonprofit. Now it's a large organization. It's not just a bike ride, it's a large organization. And we raise about $300,000 a year. And right now, our project is to deliver clean water to every community in Zambia. And we are about 3 or 4 years away from that goal. So that's been huge, and something that's well beyond what I ever imagined it could be. And just visiting those in need in Zambia, like they're just the dearest, most happy people.
Yeah,
But
amazing.
it's amazing. But clean water can just change a community.
It's the simple things that we really take for granted
No
in
kidding.
as well-established countries. So that leads me to the final question. What are the three key pieces of advice you would give to those looking to follow your career path or a similar career path? And what legacy would you like to leave, or how would you like to be remembered?
Wow. That's some deep questions right there. I'll start with listening.
Yes.
I mean, I know I talk a lot and I talk fast, but I think it's really important to listen, and not just the obvious is listen to your clients
Mm,
with really absorbing what they're saying so you
yes.
can create the solution that they're asking for. But also, like, and sounding repetitive now, but listen to the other agents around you. Like,
Yes.
listen to what's
Mm,
going on. Um, do not go about this alone and do all the talking. Okay, so
yes.
listen is number one. Get back up. In this career, you will be deflated and defeated.
Mm.
Just
That's,
happens.
yeah.
It just happens. It's
Yeah.
okay. There is no success without failure. It's just that's an impossible rule.
Exactly.
So, I mean, so get back up. There's no ego involved in it. We all make mistakes. We all lose deals. Get back up and keep going. That's number two. And I think number three is continue to educate and push yourself. Um,
Yes.
we see people age out of the business, not because they don't know values of homes, not because they don't have great relationships, but because the business is constantly changing. I mean, we've heard
Yes.
so much talk in the media this week about change.
Mm.
So educate yourself, stay abreast of what's going on so you can have these smart conversations, but also stay on top of technology. So, like I kind of regret not being on TikTok. I wish I would have done that like 10 years ago. Like that
Yeah.
would, I'm not too old for it, you know? And so
Yeah.
it's like stay on top of technology. It doesn't have to be social media technology. That was just one example. Yeah. So listen, get back up and stay educated. Those are my three, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what legacy or how would you like to be remembered?
Hopefully by someone who's always positive.
Yes.
I just can't do negative energy in life.
No.
It's just not who I am. I'm totally repelled by it. Like,
Mm.
so I really hope when the day is done, whether it's personal or professional, that people can just say, God, she was such a positive person. That's my legacy. Hopefully. Hopefully. That's what I live up, try to strive for.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, and hopefully we can have you back in the future to see where you are in your journey. So if
Thank
people would like to connect with you, what are the best platforms to do so?
I'd say Instagram is like, I love connecting, lots of connections over Instagram, and it's at Boulder Homes.
Oh, brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Cari, and we'll definitely have you back in the future.
Okay. That sounds wonderful. Nice chatting.